Okay, we're recording. Hi,
Right.
everyone. Today is day 3 of My Kids Think I'm Cool But podcast. Since I'm doing this 25 days of Christmas special all last minute, I have my day 3, and it is Aglaia Michelakis. Did I get it?
Yes.
And she is Canadian living in Denmark, and her husband is from Greece. And they have 2 kids together, and they live in Copenhagen, or kind of outside of Copenhagen, Hellerup, right?
Yes.
Okay, so she agreed to do kind of like a Canadian how they celebrate Christmas in Canada, and discuss how it is merged with her husband's culture, and then also living here in Denmark. And I find it so interesting because with 2 kids and trying to balance the cultures out, and I think it'll be just such a great conversation to see how Agaya balances the traditions of Christmas in like 3 countries. Basically, you're trying to balance 3 countries right now. So let's get into the interview a little bit. How do Canadians celebrate Christmas? It has to be a little bit similar to the US, but different in a
Yeah.
way.
I would say it's very similar in the sense that it is very commercialized. It is a big thing. Halloween merchandise does not have the time to come off the shelf before the Christmas things were on. And it is quite a few years since I've lived in Canada. So it's kind of presumptuous of me to say how it is right now. Um, but on the other hand, I have lived in Boston as well. And I have to say that one difference in Canada is that I grew up in Toronto, which is a very multicultural city. And it is, um, it is very respectful of all the cultures. It is not a melting pot like the States, Canada. So I went to school with people who were Hindu, Muslim, Jewish, and there was quite a lot of respect. And we did not say Merry Christmas and the greeting cards as much as Happy Holidays, because it would be presumptuous otherwise. And so that has shaped me, and it is something that more than the turkey as the customary dinner,
Yeah.
the Christmas tree, it is that I wanted to instill in my children, even though they are not growing up in Canada. Just having tolerance for all religions and all customs, and the resilience that comes with that, really, and the true love and Christmas spirit.
Yeah. That's really awesome, and especially I think when you say that you grew up in Canada, but then you went to Boston, it changes the way you look at holidays, especially when you have different cultures around you. Because some people don't celebrate Christmas, and they celebrate something else like Hanukkah. So you got to see that also. What
Yeah.
is one of your favorite things or traditions that you have in Canada that you want to teach your kids and not really grow up without it?
I guess eggnog is one thing that is I try
Non-alcoholic, right?
non-alcoholic, but it is something that I was kind of thinking, hey, the senses, you can keep customs in terms of ideology and spirituality, and then there is the body, there are the senses, and it's hard to convey to someone else what Christmas has meant for you without the body actually experiencing what that was. So I'm a vegetarian. I have been a vegan, so it was hard to really do eggnog.
Yeah.
Um, and yet I try every year. I'm like, okay, let's try and make some eggnog or find some eggnog. And yeah, I have tried to insist on the turkey dinner, even though I don't eat it myself. And that has gone out the window in many instances throughout the years, and that is okay. We found ourselves living in Boston in a Jewish neighborhood, and my best friend there was Jewish. And that year, my daughter, I think she was 5, she said, "I don't want to decorate a Christmas tree. I want a menorah like all the other kids."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, we can do both." So we lit up the candles and we had a Christmas tree. And yeah, I guess that's another thing I have not been too willing to let go of, the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Um, in one shape or form or another, it is in our living room every Christmas.
Yeah.
And
I think Christmas tree symbolizes Christmas, and it just reminds me of my childhood and decorating, um, and the smell.
mm,
I don't know if you guys use fresh Christmas tree or plastic, but the thing is, I never used a fresh Christmas tree. I used it once when I was younger, but in Denmark, it's always fresh Christmas tree. I didn't with my Danish family, it's always like the fresh Christmas tree and the
yeah,
actual real candles that they put on there. I don't know if you've seen that. That like scares me.
beautiful. It's quite beautiful. I've
It
seen it.
is.
I think
Yeah, it
it's
is, but I'm like, it scares me because they
very
actually light it. Yeah, because they actually light it during like the Christmas Eve, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the girl's hair is really close to the fire.
especially if you have small children. I can
Yeah, they're crawling around looking for the presents.
imagine, and they're not used to it.
No, they're not. It's just a light there. It's a normal thing for them.
Yeah.
When my mom saw it and she came to visit for Christmas, she's like, "You guys put candles on Christmas tree?" I was like, "No, I don't. I don't put candles." I was like, "It's my family. It's cozy."
I think it's quite beautiful, and it brings to mind the one thing I think all of the cultures have in common, which is light. The
Yeah,
holiday season is a lot about light, whether you look at Diwali or um, Hanukkah, and even Christmas, the guiding star. It is about light, and if you really want to distill what is Christmas about, it's about hope and
yeah,
that light in the darkness that we all have need for some time, and especially right now, I think it's going
yeah,
to be quite a special Christmas. I think in many many ways.
yeah. Definitely, especially with what's going on with 2020.
Yeah,
Everyone needs this light and hope.
exactly.
Since your husband is from Greece, how do you handle the different cultural tradition around Christmas?
Yeah. So it's very interesting because traditionally in Greece, and I'm not sure if it is just the custom of Crete, which is where my husband comes from, and my family originally comes from there as well.
Yeah.
But they traditionally did not decorate a tree; they decorated a ship, a
Oh,
boat. And so I found that quite beautiful, especially since my husband and I have not lived in one place for more than 4.5 years. And migration is quite a big element for us as a family. So the boat symbolizing transition and moving. So yeah, that's not something we have done to decorate a boat, but we have kind of created a little tradition for ourselves to buy Christmas ornaments that are boats wherever
okay.
we visit. So our Christmas tree is full of little boats
That's
that
cute.
yeah, and it's quite a beautiful tradition to actually unpack the ornaments every year and go down memory lane and think of how far we've come together as a family. And even our son, who is much younger than his sister and has not followed in some of these places, he loves to hear the stories, and he feels like he has lived in the US and like he has lived in Canada. And it's yeah, there's something really special about the ritual of unpacking Christmas ornaments and remembering.
Yeah. Yeah, our Christmas ornaments are actually from my husband's Momo, which is his grandparent. So it's very antique, and it's always nice to open them and talk about it. And my daughter, actually, my older daughter, met her before she passed away, and she's always talking about her. It's like, oh, Alamo has given me this or that, or it's so sweet because she always remembers Alamo because all our Christmas decorations are from her. So they're
That's
very old and antique. So I have a son now, and I look forward when he stops destroying things because he's only one. look forward to tell him about these things.
Yeah. Wow. And how does it feel for you that the ornaments are all coming from your husband's family? Do you,
I love it. Yeah, because
yeah.
um Christmas for me in the US was very special, with my family and decorating the tree. But like you said, is it's also very commercialized too.
Hmm. Okay.
I haven't spent Christmas home. Last year I did, but after that was like 5 years I haven't been home for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I rather go home for Thanksgiving than Christmas. So I like for the coziness here in Denmark for Christmas, but I like going home to the US for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. That's like always
Yeah.
been my favorite holiday, and I never have been a big present person anymore. I love giving presents now to my
Mhm.
kids and my friends and family. As before, when I was little, I was like, "Oh, what can I get?"
I hear you, and be careful with that. When my daughter was 4, my husband was crazy busy. He is a university professor, so he was one deadline after another, and I was responsible for the whole Christmas gig.
Yeah.
And so I made sure everybody had presents under the tree. We had an understanding he had no time to buy me anything. And Christmas morning, my daughter is like, "Mom, have you been a bad girl this year?"
Oh
I'm like,
no.
I don't think so, no. Uh, she's like, "Why didn't Santa bring you anything?"
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that because my husband and I we don't really like give gifts for like, oh, what do you want? Oh, what do you want? Like,
Yeah,
okay, it's
exactly.
always revolved around the kids.
Yes. But I've made a point since to make sure to have something under the tree for me, even though they don't really believe in Santa. They know that every year I will use my special cursive writing to pretend one of the gifts for each of them is from Santa.
Okay,
Uh,
so you do the Christmas morning.
yes, we do. And
Okay,
that's one thing that's awkward here, especially this year, that we will be hosting a Danish family
okay,
uh, for the 24th. And we are in this huge dilemma. Will we open the presents the evening of the 24th or the morning of the 25th? And we'll see. We'll have to just
yeah,
maybe half and half.
yeah. That's what. Since my daughter celebrated her first U.S. Christmas in U.S. last year, it was weird to her to actually open it the next day.
Yeah.
And not the 24th, and then there was no big dinner or anything because we don't really celebrate the 24th. We do by going to church, but I'm not going to bring a 3-year-old and a 2-month-old to midnight mass.
Yeah,
So I was like, no, it's okay, we'll just do like a small dinner and then do the big presents in the morning.
exactly. Exactly. And
Did
then
you? Oh, go ahead.
no, I really like how you bring up the point of commercialization. One of the things that shocked me in Denmark was the advent calendar.
Yeah.
We live in an affluent neighborhood, so it's quite amazing the gifts the classmates were getting in these julekalender.
Yeah.
It was overproduction, and I was like, "Whoa, this is more than Canada." It's quite surprising. Um, and my children wanted it, so I was like, okay, I'll meet them halfway. So I put practical things that I wrapped every day, like a toothbrush
Yeah.
or a pair of socks or something I know I would end up buying them anyhow. Uh,
Okay.
and we also, one tradition we have that I really like and I hope they continue is a reverse advent calendar.
Okay.
So every day we have a box where we actually put food in that we then donate. So for 25 days, there's a can of corn or a tuna can or something going in the reverse advent, as yeah, just remembering we are to be grateful and to recognize that we are in the position to also offer and not just we're up for that, and that my son actually remembers. And yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I never thought of doing a reverse advent calendar. That's like really good idea actually. But actually, also I was surprised with the advent calendar. My daughter always got it, the chocolate ones, but
Mm,
now she's older, so she wants the Elsa one or the Peppa Pig one. So I can understand, because I never had a advent calendar. I was like, wow, a present every day. And
yes.
then the big present that comes Sunday from the, I don't, your kids are probably too old for the Nisse,
Yeah.
that too. So it's like present every day, and then it's a small present, but still.
Yeah.
And Nissa, and then Christmas Eve with the
Mm.
Danish family, and then I try to do the Santa in the morning. So it's like 25 days of presents. I'm like, I'm a bit overwhelmed, and that's actually my other question is, are you a bit overwhelmed with all like the Advent calendar, and then the different traditions in Denmark or in Greece or in Canada that you're trying to incorporate and instill to your kids?
Yes, I used to be, especially the years that I was living in Greece. And I'm guessing a lot of moms are so happy about COVID and not having to go through that. But Christmas parties are huge in Greece, and New Year's parties are even bigger. And food, so much food. Um, and Yeah, that was exhausting. I really, oh my goodness, every year, and thinking of everything else, the gifts, the child, and just throwing these huge parties. It can be very, very tiring, especially when you work full time as a mom, and in my case, also studying. So it was very, at some point, I think it was 3 years ago, I said, I'm going to embrace the fact that I don't like Christmas. I just don't like Christmas. This is too much.
Yeah.
um, and that's the point where I decided, hey, I'm downsizing Christmas. It shouldn't be stressful for anybody. And I simplified it. So I looked around and I said, what is it I dislike about Christmas? I have always, for example, disliked all the garbage right after we open the gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So now I wrap everything in fabric.
Oh, hey, that's a
I
smart idea.
I keep the fabric. I recycle the fabric every year, and recyclable bows. So reusable, not recyclable. And so there is one thing taken away. I hate to bake. Others love to bake. I hate it.
Yeah.
So I told my family, look, there will be no Christmas cookies baked for mommy's hands, and that's okay.
We buy them at the store in packages.
There's so many people doing it better. Why compete?
Yeah.
I think it's a lot about, it's also an awakening Christmas about our perfectionism, and what is it to be a perfect mom, what is it to be a perfect wife, and it's really a time to go in the body and see, whoa, I'm exhausted, and maybe I need to tone down on the perfection of this thing, because this is not what it's about.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel you on that, because I'm like, oh, I got to do it the Danish way, the American way. And then I feel like this year it's like, whoa, there's way too many ways with the advent calendar, the Sunday, and it's super fun. My daughter gets really excited to wake up in the morning to see what the Nissa did. That one's actually fun. My
Yeah.
husband and I love doing the little Nissa tricks on her, and she looks forward to that. So that's one new thing that we did this year, because she was never old enough to understand
Yeah.
the Nissa, and what it does, and now she is, and she questions it. Actually, this morning she woke up at 2. She's like, "Is it morning yet?" I was like,
Oh.
"No, no, no. It's 2 o'clock." So I'm like, "No, it's time to sleep."
Oh,
So yeah, she's super
that's
excited this whole December, and I think that's why a lot of parents feel overwhelmed, is because they see their kids getting excited, but at the same time, it's like, is it really worth the overwhelm feeling? So maybe
yeah,
just like you said, downsize. Like, I like your idea of cloth Christmas
yeah,
paper. That's actually a
yeah.
really good idea. because the piles of paper at the end of the like Christmas giving gifts or giving gifts is like, oh my gosh, so much.
And the Christmas tree also. I love the smell and the yeah, the ritual of going out in nature and getting the tree is something I miss. But it was our first Christmas in Boston with my husband, and we just went and we had to walk with a tree home because we had not gotten a car yet, and it just felt like we were carrying a corpse in a way. We're like,
Yeah.
and this thing is just for our pleasure for just a few days, and then we're going to trash it. So we we bought an artificial tree, knowing that that also has quite a big carbon footprint, but it
Yeah.
has been with us for 12 years now.
Yeah.
So every year when we put it away, there's somehow less guilt than throwing it on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Or
Mm.
burning it, or yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think it's so important for every family to see what are their childhood memories of Christmas, and where are the triggers? What parts of it are making you unhappy rather than happy? What are
Yeah.
you continuing because you actually cherish? And what is a should?
Yeah.
Uh, so, and teaching your children to actually respect their own boundaries in that way, growing up, to not create mothers that will obsess over perfection and just making others happy, but also to make sure she is a genuinely smiling mother Christmas morning and not an exhausted one.
Yeah. That's true. Just enjoy the moment and enjoy, and not feel pressure to like show up. It's like, oh, make cookies, like you said, make cookies, bake this, make the wrapping with the bow ties, and yeah, make it all fancy. I try
Yeah,
to simplify it, but sometimes I could go overboard. I was like, no, I want it this way. And then I put the pressure on myself, and then something, and then I start not enjoying it. It's like, why do I do
yeah,
that?
precisely. And then that builds resentment to the partner. Hey, why am I doing everything? And
Yeah.
so why isn't he? And then it's like, he didn't ask for any of it, really.
Yeah.
So
We're the one that decided to do the extra.
yeah, and yeah, I think it's such a fine balance of what you want to offer and what is necessary, and how much is your want rather than what those around you actually expect.
Yeah.
Uh, Another tradition we have that I quite like, we have accumulated quite a few Christmas books throughout the years. And so every night we read a different one. And
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, so even the very babyish ones, like Elmo's 12 Days of Christmas, we read that, even though they are too grown for it by now. And they quite like it. And that way we go into a conversation about what Christmas is. How is it for people that are less fortunate? How is it around the world? And that gives a different perspective and kind of grounds us in a way.
Yeah. And then also when they get older, they will always remember this book,
Hmm.
and you guys, the parents reading it, because I remember certain books that just it reminds me of my childhood, and I actually have for my daughter, because I was like, I love this when I was little. Like, why would I want to? Like that, I don't know if you know about it. It's Corduroy, the bear that gets lost in the mall. That's like
Oh, I've
my
never
favorite.
read that one.
Yeah, that's like
Oh,
my favorite book of all time when I was little. So I was like, and I have it for her because it's just like one of my favorite books when I was little. So it's, I always remember, that's a good way of remembering quality time with your parents.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I think it's those moments they will remember more than the perfect dinner. And
That or like the Barbie set that will probably get excited in the morning, but they'll forget it 3 months later and it'll be like under a box.
completely, it's I can confirm that, being the mom to a teenager now. It changes so much. And yeah, watching Christmas movies as well. And um, we my kids find that the movie The Elf, they think all Canadians are like the elf. They think I am like the elf, especially when he says, "Smiling is my favorite." So, watching those movies with them and year after year and seeing how they relate to them later is also quite nice. And just making that time to be cozy with them
Yeah.
is
Y-
yeah, such a nice opportunity.
Yeah, we tried it with our daughter yesterday. They have this Nissa. I don't know what it is, but it's on one of the channels, and it's a Nissa that causes trouble or something. And my husband grew up with it, so he tried sitting down with my daughter, who was 4,
Yeah.
and she was immediately bored in like 5
Yes.
minutes because it's like a really old TV
Yeah.
show. It's like not nearly like black and white, but you can tell it's not like for children.
Exactly.
But so my husband's like, no, sit and watch this with me. And she's just like moving around and she's just like, no, can we go on YouTube?
I feel your husband's pain. There are many things I've tried to watch with my kids like that. And actually, the Nisa show you are describing was one of them
Yeah.
because they are growing up in Denmark. I was like, okay, we should watch this. You should know about it when all the other kids talk about it, but
Yeah.
they just wouldn't have it. So I gave up.
We'll see. I don't know if my because we have it set every day at 4:30 to watch it. So we'll see if my husband can get my daughter. I have a 1-year old. He doesn't bother with it, but my husband's like determined to watch every day at 4:30 cozy time and watch this Nissa. I was like, okay, you try. I'm off. It's not YouTube or a singing princess. I don't know what to tell you.
I know, I hear you.
But
Yeah.
yeah, well, if you want to add anything else to the conversation about Christmas in Canada or Greece or in how you celebrate it here in Denmark, you can add it now or yeah. I think it was a really great conversation. I know
I
we
think,
got off a little subject, but it's
yeah,
always, yeah.
yeah. No, I think that pretty much sums it up. Christmas is, in our case, about showing resilience, showing respect for the cultures we bring and the cultures we have found, remembering to not just cherish the taking, but also the giving. And yeah, it's so for expats that we miss family on Christmas,
Yeah.
and that is the case for more and more people this year, whether they are expats or not. Um, so let's just all be kind to each other this Christmas and
Yeah.
give a smile to one another. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, especially during this time right now, it's no
Mm.
one's going home and everyone misses each other, or it's a risk going home,
Yeah,
and yeah, you're judged for traveling,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
But thank you for sharing, how you celebrate Christmas back in Canada and then also in the U.S. in Boston,
yeah.
and how you incorporate it in your life here in Denmark, especially with your husband being from Greece, and yeah, I think it's just so many different cultures, and you're handling it. Yeah, you're handling it pretty good with your kids.
We'll see what they have to say to their
Yeah.
kids too.
So for any of the listeners or the viewers that's watching it on Zoom or in YouTube, tune in tomorrow and find out which country will be on my podcast during this 25 days of Christmas special I have. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you.